Hey y'all. So, as some of you may or may not know, depending on what your church does, yesterday was Palm Sunday. It was the day when Jesus made his triumphal entry into Jerusalem. And we think about that. We think about the last week of Jesus' life, and we check why. It's easy to say, oh, the Jews of that time just didn't understand. How could they do that? How could they crucify him? But need I remind you that this was all happening according to prophecy, including Jesus' death. And he said it is written that the Son of Man must be given into the hands of sinners, and on the third day rise again. But you think about that. You think how the Jews didn't recognize Jesus. We think about that, and we get sort of confused. In a 21st century Christian context, we have the advantage of having the whole canonical scripture, and we may actually ask, well, why didn't they recognize him? It was so obvious. He was right in front of them. But I ask you a question. Are we like that sometimes? I mean, really, are we? I mean, we have the we have the opportunity to see Jesus in so many different things. We have the opportunity to see Jesus in the homeless man who gives up his lunch or whatever he had to help other people. Or we have the opportunity to see Jesus in just the purable circumstance so we can have the opportunity to see Jesus. But we can miss him. We can miss him. And why? Why? Because have, we don't yet admit it, but we oftentimes are guilty of the same expectations as the Jews of that day and the Pharisees of that day. We want a God who won't necessarily overthrow the government, but we want a God who will just do what we want him to do. But, yea, gentlemen, God's power is far beyond our comprehension. And if God just did what we wanted him to do, he wouldn't be perfect. He wouldn't be infallible. Because I guarantee you, not everything that we want to do as humans is morally right. Nothing wrong with us in particular, but more the overarching human race, more the sin problem that we have. Guys, the Pharisees and the Jews of that day got caught up with their own personal agenda and their own personal meaning of what God and who God was, who Jesus was. I know we live in the 21st century, and like I said, we have the knowledge. We have the knowledge of biblical scripture, but I warn you, it can almost be too easy to fall to fall into that trap of expectations for God. God can do whatever He wants. He is not bound by you or your expectations. Maybe He's in that. Maybe He's in that homeless guy you don't give money to because of your fear, that it's a scam and they'll become dependent. Maybe Jesus is in. Maybe Jesus is in just the most deplorable situation that I can't really even think of right now. But, guys, I can tell you Jesus isn't bound by your understanding. As the scripture says that Jesus said himself, if you do this unto the least of these, you do unto me. And guys, that has sort of a double meaning to me. On the one hand, it's saying help your poor and your widow, and metaphorically you do that to Jesus, because that's what Jesus did. And the second thing is that whatever situation that you're in that you don't want to be in, that you feel God calling you to, that could be an opportunity to meet with Jesus right there. That could be an opportunity to share the love of Jesus with someone. Guys, yet it not become like the Pharisees and the Jews of ancient days, which he dealt with all according to prophecy, by the way. Just want to make that clear. Guys, we don't want Jesus to be bound by expectations. Not only is he not, but we don't want him to be. Because, like we see with the Pharisees and the Jews that day, they were sorely disappointed. Even to the point where some of them even chanted for death some days later. They were sorely disappointed that Jesus wasn't what they expected. But that's because they expected someone of their own design. They didn't consult scripture for who Jesus was. Jesus was a man who hung out with sinners. Jesus was a man who went into the most depraved places that not even the holiest of holy men would go in ancient days, and he wouldn't do him, he healed him. I mean, you take lepers, for example, that was considered ceremonially unclean in that day, and he was out among them. Not only was he out among them, but he touched them. He healed them. A crime that was sorely looked down upon. Sorely looked down upon that day. And just maybe, if we're not careful, might be looked down upon today. Guys, Jesus is not who you want him to be. He's not. But he's so much more. He's so much more. He's the man who came down from heaven, who sacrificed his eternal body He came down from heaven. He took on filthy form. And he told people how to live a sinless life, even if it wasn't the most popular. He ultimately went to a death for that. For came to be someone that they thought he wasn't. God, Jesus more than your expectations. And I'm thankful for that every day. Guys, I love you. God bless you. I hope you got something out of this. And I'll see you next week. Have a happy Easter.